Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, I've been coming to the Toastmasters meetings for about a month now, and from what I've seen of the icebreaker speeches, everyone seems to start in one place and end up in a place completely different than they had anticipated. Unexpected life events happen that bring you to the place where you are today, and that's what has happened to me. I grew up in White Settlement out on the west side of Fort Worth. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. They are all 20 years older than me, and none of them would say that I was spoiled as a child. After I graduated high school, I went to TCJC, or what is now TCC, and I was the typical kid who did not know what she wanted to do. My mom wanted me to be a teacher because you have job security, insurance, your summer's off. But I don't think she realizes, even to this day, how much work you have to take home. Plus dealing with 20 to 30 kids every day, their parents, faculty situations. It wasn't my thing. I considered accounting because I took accounting in high school, and I took a semester at TCJC, and my whole high school accounting was on the very first test. And between that and the economics classes, I was pretty sure that I didn't need to do any kind of work with numbers ever again. So I went back to what I did in high school, which was writing for the school newspaper. And I joined journalism classes at TCJC and also at UT Arlington. I wrote on the newspaper at both schools, and I settled on public relations as a major. And after graduation, I actually did find a job after about 8 months. I went to work for Harris Methodist Health Systems, and I wrote their employee newsletter, as well as other internal communications. And while I was working there, I joined a church in Arlington and started doing drama ministry. And we did skits and plays at church and other events around town. And we also went on a mission trip to the Olympics in 1996 in Atlanta. We did get to go to a basketball game, but no, we did not get to see the USA play. Very disappointing. After about a year of working with Harris Methodist, they reorganized and I got laid off. So I went to work at a temp agency, and I continued working with the drama ministry at my church. Eventually I found another job with Carter Blood Center here in Fort Worth, doing the same kind of employee communications. They merged with Blood Care of Dallas, and what do you know? I got laid off again. Well, by that point, I was still acting. I had joined an organization called Christians in Theater Arts, and in 1999 I went to their conference in Toronto, and they have auditions for their member theaters every year at their convention. And so I auditioned, and I got hired by a touring repertory theater based in St. Cloud, Florida. We performed in churches of all denominations, all across the country, every night of the week, and I did that for about 2 years. And in July of 2001, I moved back home to Fort Worth. I tried to go back to work with the temp agency, but they didn't have a lot going on that summer. And of course, a couple of months later, 9/11 happened. And so there was even fewer jobs through a temp agency. But I did find a job with a Christian television network here in Fort Worth, just doing data entry. At that point in time, I wasn't interested in doing any more acting. I was really burned out. But my boss, as fate would have it, told me about a friend of his who had an acting school here in Fort Worth. So I went and I sat in on a class, and that got the fires burning again. And I was part of his school for about 2.5 years, and I actually taught the children's class for a short time. I did a little bit of extra work. I got to meet Henry Winkler, the Fonz. It was really awesome. And I had a speaking role in a short film that was entered in the Deep Ellum Film Festival in Dallas. In addition to acting, my acting coach also taught a ballroom dance class, which I joined and I loved. And I happened to hear a girl at work talk about her dance shoes, and I asked her, "What kind of dancing do you do?" And she said, "Ballroom dancing." And she invited me to go on a Friday night to the studio where she takes lessons. And I got the bug and started taking lessons as well. So then I had 2 hobbies. But as you know, acting does not pay, ballroom dancing is expensive, and you have to have a real job to fall back on, unless they lay you off a third time. So I went back to the temp agency and I worked 2 more years, and I continued dancing, even though it made absolutely no sense to do it. But I loved it, and I had a lot of friends. And one night at the studio, I ran into a couple that I knew when I was a kid at church, and the woman asked me, "What are you doing nowadays, Kim?" And I said, "Well, I'm working for a temp agency and looking for a job. Do you know of anything?" A week later, she called me and said, "I have a position working directly with me at XTO." So I've been here for almost 6 years, and yes, I'm still dancing. And you may wonder, why would I want to join Toastmasters if I've done all this other stuff? I actually need to practice more often so that I can help talk in meetings and such things. And also, I was just looking for a new way to challenge myself. So thank you very much.